Hello all, welcome back. So if you are planning to write the PC exam, so they have added two new case studies. And if you haven't watched my previous case studies, I highly recommend watching them before you watch this video. For those who are not planning to write PC exam, I would recommend them going through the case study. I'm going to paste the link in the description and see how you can design that case study, or as an architect, how you would design that in AWS or in Azure or whatever cloud you are interested in. So that way you would understand some of the nuances, and you will understand some of the services that you would use and propose a good solution for the customer. Before I get into the case study, full disclosure, I haven't worked with a media partner or a entertainment client. So the solution that I'm going to propose here is based on my interpretation of the case study. And if you have any issues or any doubts or any concerns, please feel free to let me know in the comment section and show me your design and how you would do it differently. I would love to see your architecture. With that aside, before I want to talk to you about the case study, I'm assuming that you have read the PDF file. If not, I'm going to paste the link in the description. Before even we discuss about the solution, I would recommend reading the PDF 2 or 3 times by pausing this video and then resume this video. But let me go through the basic technical requirements and the business requirements. Okay, so the Helicopter Racing League is pretty much like a, if you want to call it as an IPL streaming partner or someone. So they're going to stream this racing either through an on-demand or through the live stream, and they're going to give that to multiple people through an APIs or something like that. But basically, they already are in cloud. But the main business requirements are the owners want to expand the predictive capabilities and reduce latency. So these are some of the keywords that I would focus on. Reduce the latency for their viewers in emerging markets, which means they want to target for emerging markets. Like maybe if this race is happening in US, and if they want to target this race in some other countries like India or China or Africa, then they would want to target those emerging markets with the reduced latency. Support ability to expose the predictive models to partners, and this is another important thing, and increase predictive capabilities during and before races, like race results or mechanical failures. And if you want to relate this to, again, I'm going to take an example of the Indian Premier League. It's a cricket match. So when you're watching a cricket match, or when you're watching a football, even in US, you might see some predictive capabilities, like who is trying to win, or the win percentage, loss percentage, and all those things while you're watching. So that way the users are more engaged instead of just watching a live, or watching something that is game that's going to last for more hours. And increase telemetry and additional insights. For additional insights and telemetry, I'm not going to focus much on this video, because this is pretty much common for any use case where they want to ask customers to use BigQuery and use Looker, their new tool. I don't think Looker has been part of the previous exam. As they have updated, I'm sure they would be asking about Looker in the exam. So please try to focus on that part. And measure fan engagement with new predictions, again related to the predictions, and increase the number of concurrent viewers, meaning like they should be able to scale as much as possible based on the concurrent viewers who are watching the stream or watching the on-demand video. And minimize operational complexity. Again, this is very important to note. And ensure compliance with the regulations. So there are some regulations. I'm going to paste the link in the description, which for the media partners and stuff, which are important. And maybe just go through it. I don't think they would be asking about the regulations. Now coming to the technical requirements. So maintain or increase prediction throughput and accuracy. Again, reduce viewer latency. We have seen this twice, I guess, already. The latency is important. Increase the transcoding performance and create real-time analytics. Again, going back to the analytics part. Now let's look at their current way of doing things. So they have a racing league here. I'm trying to represent the racing league and everything that is happening in the race on the left side. On the right side, you would see things that are happening in their cloud, because remember, they said like they already are working with a cloud partner. So on the left side, let's say there is a race that is happening right now, and obviously you record that race using a camera, and you have your media production or people who are going to sit near the race. So they are going to make any changes to the files or drop those files into the storage bucket, but that's going to happen. So at a very high level, I'm trying to oversimplify some of these things because I'm not much familiar with the video transcoding and encoding and stuff. But if you are familiar, then you would understand the nuances of this. So at a very high level, the way it works is you have the media file and you have to encode and transcode, meaning you have to reduce the size of the file from 1080p to 720p, or even lesser, based on where you are targeting, right? For instance, you have to adaptively stream based on the internet connection of the user, based on the size of the device, whether it is mobile phone or laptop or something like that. So encoding and transcoding is very important when you're trying to stream or when you're trying to put those media files into an on-demand space where you can watch them later. So we're going to focus more on that part, and then the TensorFlow and the models part for the prediction. All right, so they are doing the encoding and transcoding, and then the content is going into the object storage, and they have the TensorFlows in the VMs. Now, one other thing that was mentioned in the case study was that they're doing this editing and all this stuff in a data center on wheels. Sort of, they have a huge truck, I guess, where these people try to manage all this stuff, and they have connectivity from the truck to the cloud through a high connectivity network, and then they drop the files to an object storage, and from there they would use the VMs again to do transcoding, encoding, transcoding, and all that stuff. Now, very important thing to note when you're reading the PDF is they mention, like, for each job they would use a VM to do transcoding, which by itself is going to increase the cost of their cloud tremendously, and also it's not efficient way of doing things. As imagine if there are like 1,000 jobs in future or 100,000 jobs, then you would have to create 100,000 VMs, so which is not operationally sustainable in cloud. And the TensorFlow as well, so they are using VMs for TensorFlow, training the models at a very high level. This is how it works. So they have on the left side where the race is going on, and then they're using trucks. And maybe if in exam they would ask, like, how these people can in future work in cloud to do their desktop stuff, right? For example, they might have to work on their desktops and stuff. Maybe you can use Google's virtual workstations, where you can spin up a high GPU machine so that they can connect to the workstation and try to do any of the video editing stuff in the workstation itself, instead of using a data center on wheels, and then drop the files into object storage. Now, in the first part of the video, let's focus more on the video transcoding, because that is important, how we want to improve the performance of the transcoding, and most importantly, how we're going to reduce the latency. Okay, so this is a very good article that was open source. I think it was by Google. I'm going to paste all the links in the description. So before you go to the exam, I would highly recommend viewing these case studies. Like, one example was Google's partnership with Waze, how they have used machine learning and stuff. And the transcoding stuff, they also have a lot of media partners, and there are very good YouTube channels. I have went through all of them, and I'm going to paste the links in the description. In the future state, they would be dropping that in the cloud storage, and then you will have PubSub that is going to be notified whenever there is an object in the cloud storage bucket. And then the App Engine worker is going to start the transcoding and then ultimately put those files into the cloud storage destination. But the most important thing to note here is what we're trying to do. We are trying to use App Engine workers, which is a serverless compute. So that way we are reducing the operational complexity. It's more like a no-ops model. And the second thing is, note here on the top right hand side, we're using FFmpeg, which is, I think, an open source transcoding software. Now, FFmpeg has a Docker image, and if in exam they would ask you about App Engine standard versus flexible, if a customer is using FFmpeg for transcoding, then this architecture makes sense. Or you can also use Kubernetes based on the exam options. You can either go with Kubernetes or you can go with App Engine Flexible, because App Engine Flexible supports Docker containers. So FFmpeg software is going to be installed, or the image of that will be available in a Docker image, and then the transcoding will happen. It will scale infinitely based on the number of objects that are there in the bucket, and then once the transcoding is completed, it will try to create different files and then store it in the storage bucket. Now from here on, you can use another application to give that content on demand to the user or stream and stuff. Now let's look at another possible solution for this, and it's going to be pretty much same, but here one thing to highlight is the transcoder API. Now this is in the GA, meaning I'm not sure if it is completely available or it's in the pre-GA, I guess. So the transcoder API is a service in Google Cloud that will help you to transcode the video files, and you can choose the destination of the storage bucket and it will drop those files. Now I'm not sure in the exam they will give you transcoder API. If they give, then the best option is for that solution you don't have to use App Engine Flexible. You can just use App Engine Standard, or for that matter you can also use Cloud Functions. Anything will work as long as you're consuming the API through your service account, or you're hitting the API through a service account and then transcoding and then dropping the files into cloud storage. So the only change here is whether the option would be a transcoder API or FFmpeg. Based on that you would choose. Hopefully they're going to talk about transcoder API because that makes sense, as it's going to reduce the overall operational complexity and improve the operational efficiency. Now let's look at an on-demand content. Pretty much the same way that we have looked in the previous diagram. You will have a GSCTL transfer and then the files are stored in the cloud storage. Transcoding here use Compute Engine, but please ignore that part because we have already discussed about the transcoding in the previous slide. Now once it is stored in the cloud storage, the important part to be highlighted in this slide is the cloud CDN. So one of the requirement, if you have read the PDF, users should not have latency when this content is distributed. So the cloud CDN, Google has a lot of point of presence across the world. So let's say if user is trying to access the content from India or Africa or China, from anywhere, they would hit the cloud CDN. So that way it will be very less latency, as all of these media files are cached across different POPs, and from there on user can view, so that way the latency is in lower 2 digits, something like that. Or if you want to partner with the Fastly or any other CDN partners, you can also do that and then distribute the content across the users globally. So this way you're going to reduce the latency for the user. I'm really not sure with the live stream, but again, this was one good representation of live stream that I found in the internet. I'm going to again paste the link in the description, but basically from the video source itself, it's going to be an RTMP transfer, and then it's going to talk to the cloud load balancing and send those streams to the RTMP server if you're using Compute Engine, and then you're going to use transcode. Again, transcode, we can use App Engine. And then, if you have any application that you want to expose as an API, you can expose that to the audiences through the backend API and Kubernetes engine if you're having that API, or you can follow the same cloud CDN and then, third-party CDN to stream to the audiences. But again, don't worry too much about this part. This is just to show you that, the case study also talks about two things, live stream and as well as on-demand content. Now let's discuss about the second and most important part of the case study, where you want to improve the user experience by giving the predictions of the races and all those things. So this depiction is pretty much similar to what Google has done with Waze, or what Waze has done in the Google Cloud. So let's say users are watching the stream, or they're watching the on-demand content. Now you will have an application that is going to gather the data from the user, or you will conduct the poll, or let's say as an example, if the races are happening in a specific arena and the helicopters of one team have been pretty much winning there, so all those data, and you collect the data and then you use that data to train your model. So currently the company has been using TensorFlow, as it was said in the case study. So they can use the same TensorFlow model, and then they can spin up the TensorFlow VMs in the AI platform in Google Cloud and use those notebooks to continuously train the models from the right side. And once the model is ready, so that's when they would deploy the model to the AI platform. This is another Google Cloud offering. And here the most important part, one of the requirement in the case study was to expose the model as a REST API. Now AI platform has that capability to expose the model to their partners to the REST API, and also it has the capability of providing a very less latency to the customers. So this is going to solve two things. One thing is less latency, and as well as providing the REST API to the partners. Now for the user experience is concerned, let's say the users are watching in a mobile phone or in an app for this racing, then it will make a request to the service layer. So let's say you have your Java Spring microservices running in a Kubernetes engine. It asks for, hey, give me the list of predictions for whoever is going to rank. And then we'll get a request to the microservice application saying that, hey, I need the new win prediction. And then it will ask the model to predict the win percentage of each team, and then user will get that. So it will be updating in a timely fashion on the user's desktop or the application. And at a very high level, this is how it is going to work. Again, there might be slight variations in the exam. I'm assuming that they might ask around this part, around the AI platform. So highly recommend going through the AI platform documentation and the life cycle of the training and the machine learning stuff that's going to happen in the AI platform, and how you're going to deploy that is important. Now, as far as insights are concerned, this is going to be pretty much same with other use cases that we have done in the past, meaning you have ingest, you have store, process, and analyze. But the key components to remember here are the pub/sub as you're going to ingest. This is the most common way. But in any case, if you want to get the data from the application logs, then you would use the logging service as well. And then you're going to store the data in the BQ or in Cloud Bigtable. But then ultimately the analysis, the process analysis and stuff is going to happen in the BQ, and you're going to visualize the data using Looker. So like I've said before, Looker was not mentioned in the previous exam because by that time Looker wasn't acquired by Google. But if you see that Looker for analyze, then visualize, most of the time that might be the right answer for visualization. So that's all I wanted to cover for this case study as part 1. Maybe I'll come up with a part 2 once I get more feedback from you in the comments, or if you feel some things I have missed, I'll try to cover that part. But thank you for watching, and let me know in the comment section if you find anything that you felt that you have interpreted this case study in a different way, and so that I can improve in my second version. As I've said before, I highly recommend going through the case study and coming up with a design if you are going to work on AWS or Azure, and let me in the comment section with the design image, whether you have put it in the cloud storage, and then put the link in the description. I'm going to look at that, and let's have a good conversation around how you're going to architect this case study in any given cloud. Thank you all again for watching. Stay safe. Take care. Bye.